She told me she didn't need to be intimate with me anymore, like it was some casual update she could just toss across the table during dinner. No explanation, no tenderness, no effort to cushion the blow, just a cold, offhand sentence, dropped between bites of salad like she was commenting on the weather. But what she didn't realize in that moment was that with those simple words, something deep within me snapped. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even ask her why. I just looked at her, nodded slowly, and made a quiet decision that would ripple through both our lives in ways she never saw coming. We had been married for 6 years. Not perfect years. What marriage ever is. But years, I believe, were built on a foundation of mutual respect, loyalty, and partnership. We both worked. We split the bills. We shared chores. We built a life. And for the most part, we made it work. But gradually, I began to sense a distance growing between us. The spark didn't just flicker. It faded, not just the physical closeness, but the emotional connection, too. Conversations turned brief and functional. Hugs felt mechanical, like an obligation. Her laughter came less often, and her eyes rarely lingered on mine. Then the excuses started to roll in. First it was work stress. Then it was being too tired. Then she needed space. I tried to be understanding. I truly did. I gave her time, gave her room to breathe. I stopped asking for affection, thinking maybe the pressure was a problem. I focused on being a better listener, a better partner. I tried to carry the emotional weight of the relationship, hoping that if I just held on long enough, she'd come back to me. But nothing changed. If anything, the coldness only deepened. Then came that dinner, a quiet Wednesday night. Nothing special. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. She barely looked up from her plate when she said it, like she was letting me know she'd switched to almond milk. Asterisk, I just don't feel like being intimate anymore. And I don't think I need to be just because we're married. Asterisk that sentence. Those words hung in the air like smoke, thick and hard to breathe. I remember the sound of silverware tapping against porcelain, the way her voice held no warmth, no empathy. Just flat, vacant detachment. I didn't push back. I didn't plead. I swallowed my reaction like a bitter pill and nodded slowly as if I understood. But inside, something irreversible began to shift. In that instant, I was rewiring myself piece by piece. Not because of what she said, but because of how she said it. It wasn't about needing space. It wasn't about fatigue or stress. It was about power, control, a quiet declaration that she would dictate the terms of our connection while expecting me to remain loyal, present, devoted, like I was stuck, like I'd accept whatever scraps she decided to throw. But she was wrong. I wasn't stuck. From that moment on, I stopped trying. I stopped initiating affection. I stopped asking how her day went. I stopped giving her the emotional validation I'd always served up without question. I became calm, polite, supportive, but emotionally absent, just like she had been. I started going to the gym more often, took longer walks alone, stayed later at work. I stopped sharing pieces of my life with her, stopped asking for pieces of hers. I faded into the background of our marriage, not as an act of cruelty, but as an act of clarity. I became a ghost with a wedding band, still present, still helpful, still reliable, but no longer reachable. And she didn't notice. Not at first. Not until about 3 weeks had passed. One night, as she slid into bed beside me, she reached for my hand and whispered, "You've been really quiet lately." I smiled gently and replied, "I'm fine." But I wasn't. I was preparing. Quietly. Detaching. Not with bitterness, but with precision. Because I had finally stopped hoping. I had finally seen her for who she was. Someone who believed that marriage meant she could keep pulling away, and I would just keep showing up. That she could withhold affection, connection, touch, and still count on my loyalty. That I would stay, no matter how invisible she made me feel. She thought I was weak, but I was never weak. I was patient, and patience isn't the same as blindness. 2 months later, everything was in place. I had found a small apartment across town. I had transferred the portion of our savings I had legal access to into a new account. I had consulted a lawyer. I waited until she left for a weekend at her sister's house, then packed my things with methodical silence. No shouting, no confrontation, just a folded note on the kitchen counter. Asterisk, you were right. You don't owe me intimacy, and I don't owe you my presence. All the best. Asterisk. That was it. I didn't block her. I didn't erase her from my phone. But I never looked back. She called the next day. 10 times. Left voicemails. The first few were confused. Then they turned angry. Then they became frantic. The last one, yeah, that one broke me a little. I didn't think you'd actually leave. That was the part that stung the most. Not the coldness. Not the emotional drought. But the realization that she never believed I'd go. That she thought my love made me blind. That she mistook my loyalty for surrender. But love didn't blind me. It kept me holding on longer than I should have. I found peace in that small apartment. Peace, space, air I didn't even realize I'd been starved of. I started seeing a therapist. Started putting myself back together. Started understanding how withholding affection, on purpose, without dialogue, isn't just neglect, it's control. A subtle, smiling form of emotional manipulation, no matter how politely it's delivered. She reached out a few more times. Long, rambling texts. Regrets. Offers to talk things through. But I never responded, because I'd already said everything I needed to say by leaving. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is walk away without a word. And sometimes, when someone tells you what they don't need, they're also showing you, very clearly, exactly what you don't need either.